What does your child need this season? At Once Upon a Child, our inventory grows daily, but our prices aren't changing. Unlike retail stores, we have no empty racks. We have plenty of this season's clothes, as well as shelves and aisles stocked with toys, baby gear, and children's furniture. We're always buying and selling gently used kids stuff. We pay on the spot for your items and pass on the savings when we resell every single day at Once Upon a Child. Once Upon a Child in Douglasville, off Chapel Hill Road, and in Noonan, off Bullsboro Road.
Grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
WQEE 99.1 FM The Key, home of Southern sports and talk. Noonan, Sharpsburg, Franklin.
You're listening to At Home with Allison, your local expert on real estate, business, and community.
It's WQEE 99.1 FM. This is Allison Waters, realtor and member of the Coweta County, Georgia community. I am your host, and I sincerely welcome you to the At Home with Allison show. This is my first air here on the Key, and to say I'm excited would be an understatement. So if you're tuning into this, I want you to know how much I appreciate you, truly, but most importantly, I want you to know how much value you're going to be able to find in what we're going to be doing on this show. We're going to get into all the stuff you really want to hear, but first I want to give you a rundown on kind of what this show is going to be about, why we're doing this, and as you've probably discovered, there's really a huge lack of information about important things in life and in society that we should be learning about at a much earlier age. And we realize it once we get out of school and into the real world. And I mean, it starts with the small stuff, right? Setting up a bank account, filing taxes. But then when it gets to the big stuff, buying and selling a home is a big deal. Being a homeowner is a big deal. Owning or starting a business is a big deal. And the purpose of this show is to really dive deep into these types of topics, the big and the small, and add as much value to you, the listener, as possible. We're going to talk about the things that other people aren't talking about, or the things that just aren't talked about enough. We're going to talk about the things that you need to know, and I want you to feel at home with myself and the people here enough to trust us in providing you with this type of insight, because I'm looking forward to bringing in the experts, the best of the best in these industries that truly know what they're doing and can provide the best guidance in these types of areas, because we just don't learn enough. Did you know that according to the NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, 34% of buyers each year are first-time home buyers? That's a good chunk of home buyers each year, and majority of them say that they had no idea where to start when buying their first home. 70% of homeowners have had at least one regret about their purchase, whether it was something through the purchasing process, something that they wish they knew after the fact, some major expense or cost that came up that they had no knowledge in how to deal with, just a number of reasons, right? And even though they've already been through the process of buying, many also say that they wouldn't even know where to start the selling process after being a homeowner for X amount of years. So we're going to make sure we give as much insight there as possible. We're constantly going to be talking about the market and its changes. I will consistently keep you updated with that for Coweta and surrounding areas like Fayetteville, Spalding, Pike, Troup, Hall, Carroll, Heard counties. What's going on in the market affects the small businesses in our community and ultimately affects our local economy. So we want to make sure and provide that knowledge as well. We're also going to dive deep into financial topics like taxes, whether it's to prepare for buying a home or starting a business, or how to file taxes when you do have your own business or are a homeowner. There's homestead exemptions and how those can help you out your first year of homeownership. We're going to break down the loan process, what types of loans are available, the ones you've heard of and the ones you haven't. There's multiple types of investment loans for investors and things like that. There's also, with current events, displacement loans for people, 0% down when they've been displaced from their home because of a tragedy like tornado or something similar. We're also going to talk credit, how to build it, what it really means, how that affects the home buying process. We're going to talk about money management, savings, investment accounts, how to build wealth. That's a big thing for me too, is over the last few years, I've really been trying to get more into learning the things that I didn't learn growing up. And that's how to manage money, how to have investment accounts, compound interest accounts, actually saving money and what that looks like. We're also going to talk about S-Corps and LLCs, when you need them, when you don't. We're going to talk about zoning, what's going on in our community, how those changes are affecting the market. We're also going to talk new constructions, what those processes look like, which is very different than purchasing a resale, which is, someone's home that they've already lived in and they're reselling. There's lots of incentives with new constructions right now. It's really common for people these days to want to buy land, build their dream home. One, because a lot of the homes in the last few years are cookie cutter, all the same. People want custom, more quality builds. And two, land is becoming few and far between the more we grow as a society. So getting land and actually having privacy is a luxury. So we'll talk about that, what those different options look like. There are some really awesome new construction neighborhoods coming up that offer incentives for like 5, 10, 20K in closing cost price reductions. But we'll talk about all that. We'll help you weigh your options, and we'll also be talking land, what you need to know when wanting to buy or sell there. We'll also go into conservation, which is a really popular thing I've been running into a lot lately that saves people on taxes, but does set limits on what you can do with the land. So we'll make sure we cover that. We'll talk about waterfront properties, docking rights, other stuff pertaining to that. I love doing waterfront properties. Those have been some of my favorite that I've worked on in the past. But really importantly, we're going to be diving really deep into what it means to be a homeowner and how you can protect and maintain your home. This is a huge thing that isn't talked about enough. By realtors and other professionals that help you to get, to handing the keys over, but it kind of stops there. There's just countless topics that many people aren't very versed in that are very important, and I want to be able to bring insight into that because it could range from things on how to protect your home from something as simple as mold, right? Like what mold looks like, what you can do to prevent it, treat it, etc. Mold is very common in many homes. Actually, almost every home has mold in it, but there's different types, and some of them can be very toxic, and they can affect our physical, our immune systems. We could be sick and have allergies and have reoccurring issues from things that we're not even aware of. So we're going to talk about identifying toxic types of mold. We're going to talk about termites. We're here in the South. We have to worry about termites a lot more. So we're going to talk about treatment and termite bonds and whatever else you'd need to know regarding that and other wood-destroying organisms that we're not familiar with that also are very prominent that we should be aware of. If you don't know, if you haven't had an issue with termites, fixing termites can be very, very expensive. And when you ignore it early on and it continues to grow, it can be something that is absolutely detrimental to the value of your home, and it can affect you living. Lots of things. So we want to make sure we talk about that. We're also going to go into home warranties and what those look like when they're needed and how they can protect you. We'll kind of define what they do and don't cover and the cost and savings of what those look like. I will say that the last few years in real estate, it was really hard to get sellers to provide those. It was something that buyers were having to do, or that agents were having to add on out of their commission if they wanted to provide one to their buyers. And they're not very expensive, but they can save huge savings for you when you move into a home and you have a problem with certain things. So we want to make sure you're as informed about that as possible. We're going to talk a lot about home inspections. I could tell you countless circumstances where home inspections made all the difference in whether or not a client of mine bought a house. I mean, finding big things that can truly save you money, and it can protect you from getting a home that's going to drain the bank if you have someone that truly knows what they're doing, and having an inspector that doesn't is a whole nother topic. So we want to make sure that we bring all that insight for you as well. We're going to cover home improvements, renovations, investment properties, things like that. We'll talk about hard money loans and what those look like, and get into all the details of the real estate business. But I also really want this to be about the community, and I want to bring in members of the community that are business owners. I really want to give them a voice to share their stories here, their struggles, talk about how the ups and downs of the market affect their business, how, they maintain during trying times, tips and tricks on how to keep it moving and survive the dips, because we're constantly seeing those in our market. So the more we understand our local business and how they work, the more we can understand our economy and help it thrive in our local areas. So that's really, really important. I mean, the point of this show is to share the things that don't normally get shared. We always hear the basics, the surface level things. That's what we hear of and know the most about. But on this show, we're going to get down and dirty with the truth. If you know me in person, I'm very, very chill. But in business, I'm also very direct. I don't like sugarcoating things. Now, I'll tell you if I have a good or bad feeling about something, and usually I'm right. I will keep something good from you if it's not 100% yet, because I don't want you to get too excited and be let down. That is one thing about me. But in this business, for the most part, I really feel it's best to just rip the Band-Aid off than to try to make things seem better than they are. Because there's a lot of trials that come with real estate and business in general. There's a ton of things that can go wrong, and we as realtors and people that are in this industry have to come up with a lot of creative ways to dig ourselves out of a hole. But if you have the right people in your corner and you have that experience, then you already know how to anticipate what can go wrong and how to avoid those things. Now, I'm not going to tell you that we're not always surprised. If anyone comes along and tells you that they've been in the industry for however long and they know everything about real estate, then you probably maybe should run like the other direction or something, because it's just completely false. There is constant changes in real estate. The rules are always changing. The contracts and the way they're worded are always changing. The market is always changing. And that's why it's really important to stay informed as a professional as well. But regardless, life nor business is easy, but the rewards are very fruitful, and I want to make sure we cover all the good and the bad here so that we're all better prepared. And I'm excited because I'm going to be gaining and learning a lot right along with you guys. It is going to be super beneficial for me, just as beneficial as it is going to be for y'all. And it's going to be raw and it's going to be real, but it's going to be fun. And I could not be more honored to be the one to deliver this stuff to you. I'm just so thrilled to have this opportunity and that this worked out. So the way that this is going to work, this first show, it's going to be just me. I do plan to have a guest or multiple guests for every show going forward. And I really need the help of those of you listening to help me get the best people in here. I want to hear your suggestions. Who do you know? What do they do? How can I bring them on and share value with you? If you work or run a business with anything pertaining to real estate or home ownership, please send me a message or give me a call. My number is 678-634-9770, and my email is allisonwaters@kw.com. If you have business experience during a hot or declining market, give me a call. If you have a story about being a homeowner, maybe a really good or bad experience you've had, something you wish you would have known, or something that you weren't properly prepared for that, saved you a ton of money, reach out to me. If you or someone you know does renovations and has stories or insight about those, any mistakes made or things that you wish you would have known, The topics are endless. If there's anything or anyone you think would be good to have on this show, I would love to hear from you. So, of course, we're here on WQEE 99.1 FM, the Key Radio, but I want this to reach as many people as possible. So we are going to have these shows streamed live on the Allison Waters Realtor Facebook page. You should be able to search it and it come up. If you don't already follow me, then please hit that button so you can stay connected. These shows will also be available to stream, and you'll be able to listen to them after the show's over on multiple streaming platforms. I know we're on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify. I'll also be downloading these and putting them together on YouTube podcast style, so you can watch or listen there as well. There's not going to be video for this one, but I do plan for all the other ones to have video so that you can watch and listen, whatever you prefer. I'll find out all the ins and outs regarding where we're actually at and get it posted, but you'll be able to watch me pretty much anywhere. So just get connected with me on social media. My @ is @WatersRealtor. You should be able to find me on pretty much anything. I would love to have you guys join me on this incredible journey as I continue to learn and grow. I am in my 3rd year as a realtor now, and it has been an experience for the books. I am just so lucky, but I have learned so much, and I'm going to go into a lot more detail about myself later on in the show, tell you more about me, how I got here, how I'm qualified to be here talking about real estate on the radio. But today's plan will be broken down into a few different parts. So when we come back from our first break, we'll go into what's going on in the market currently, what those trends look like ending 2022 and coming into the new year, the now, what's to come, that type of thing. The market is still very busy, I will say, and there is tons to touch on regarding that, because there's a lot of fear from news outlets and other sources about what's going on. So we're going to talk about if the things we're hearing are really true. Are we really able to even predict that? I'll try and touch on Coweta and the surrounding counties as well as the U.S. as a whole. And then later in the show, we'll talk about the job of what a realtor is. I have a lot of people come to me and ask for advice in getting their license. And like I said, I've been doing this for a few years now, and I love it. But there is definitely a lot of things that I wish I knew. And I also have so many people tell me that they had no idea what all, like I or their realtor had to do in order to get them through the home buying or selling process, because there's really a lot. And there's a lot of misconceptions about becoming a realtor and what it takes to survive in this career. So I want to talk about this business and what all comes along with the job that's not listed in the job description, because we get, I'm not going to say drug into, because I really enjoy it, but there are things that we just don't know, and other people don't know. So I want to share that, but also all the joys and the rewards of being able to help people through literally one of the biggest steps that they can take in life, and that's homeownership. Buying a property at no matter what point in your life, whether it's your first house or your 10th, is an investment. So we're going to really dive deep into that. So, and then to wrap up the show, the About Me segment at the end, I'll tell you more about my story and share a little bit in depth about my life as a realtor with you. So stay tuned for all that's to come. I know that was a lot. We just had to get that over with. So when we return, we'll jump right into everything regarding the market, talk about what's going on in all the areas. And I appreciate you being here. It's At Home with Allison on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Have you been considering a career in real estate? At Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Partners, we prepare you to excel in your real estate career by providing award-winning training, family-based culture, and lead generation tools to build a business that lasts. If you're interested in learning about our pre-licensed school or how to get started, call 678-634-9770 or visit our website, atlantapartnersrealestateschool.com today.
It's WQEE 99.1 FM. Welcome back to the At Home with Allison show. I am your host, Allison Waters, Realtor. We got most of the background stuff taken care of the first part. So let's jump right into the stuff you're here for. And let's talk about what's going on in the market and our local communities. So between 2019 and 2021 into early 2022, we saw something we've never seen before, right? Historically low interest rates, up to 20% increase in home values, which is insane. Now, I got my license in 2020, and when I tell you I came into a crazy market, I mean it. There was 30, 40, 50 offers on houses at a time. People were practically having to cut their limbs off or offer up their firstborn child in order to get a home. I mean, not really, but really. I mean, people were having to pay an exorbitant amount over asking price and pay the difference in cash. Appraisers were walking in houses and rolling with whatever purchase price was on the contract. But with low interest rates, people were able to get locked in at much lower payments, and they're not planning to move. If they're not planning to move for a few more years, they're probably still going to be sitting in a good position. Now, what we may see as a result of that is if you bought in 2022 and you try to sell in the next year or two, you may have lost some equity or break even there. That is, if homes continue to stabilize and come back down to what they really should be. And that's another misconception right now, too, is that home values are decreasing, quote unquote. But realistically, they're not decreasing. They've just been heavily inflated the last couple of years, and we're seeing the Fed start to push that down a little bit to where it should be. So now we'll talk about in a minute. It depends on where you're at. Homes may continue to go up in your area. Not at the rates that we've seen them in the past, but they may continue to go up at the average 3 to 7 per year or something like that. Other areas may see those same percentages decline in value in homes in your area. So we're going to break down the numbers for the surrounding areas down here in just a minute. But before we get to that, I really want to talk about interest rates. I hear people say a lot, and if you're one of those people, I am so sorry. This is just me giving it to you straight here. But I hear people say a lot that they're waiting for the interest rates to come back down to buy. And I hate to be the one to break it to you, but the likelihood that we'll see interest rates in the 2 to 4% range again in our lifetime is very, very slim. Historically, on average, interest rates in the U.S. since the beginning of the housing market is between 8 to 12%. They've even been as high as 15 to 18% before. So where we're sitting right now is at this very second between 5 and 7% is a hot spot. You're going to be lucky if you buy right now or within the next year and things stabilize with this interest rate in this range and they don't go up. So if you've been waiting for interest rates to go down to buy, we need to talk. Give me a call, 678-634-9770. You'll hear my number a lot on the show so that you guys can't miss it. Contact me if you have questions. But on the contrary, if you've been waiting to sell, the story's a little different, right? Many people didn't want to sell their homes the past few years and move even if they wanted to, because the argument was always, well, we don't have anywhere to go, or we would have to pay so much over asking price in order to secure another home. And that's completely understandable. My advice now would be that if you need to move or you're wanting to and where you're going next, you plan to be for at least 3 to 5 years, now may be the perfect time for you to sell and buy somewhere else because, one, if the home values are declining or normalizing over the next couple years in your area, now is your time to capitalize on what equity you do have, right? And the interest rates are still low enough that if you go somewhere else, you actually have leverage with what's going on in the market to not have to pay that exorbitant amount over asking price that we've seen in the past. Now, I'm not saying that strong offers aren't a thing anymore either, because if you're in, let's say, the $350K or less range, or this is a weird spot here, but if you're between the 1.2 to 1.4 million range, you're still seeing multiple offers. I mean, that's totally still a thing. And if it's a great home in any of those ranges, any of those in between ranges, and it's priced correctly, you may still see multiple offers on those as well. But the problem is, I'm not going to say it's a problem, but it's the reality, is that people are still in the mindset that houses can sell at the highest of their potential price range. And that may be the case for your particular home, but what we're seeing in a lot of markets, homes between that $350K to $1 million range, they're sitting on average for 30 to 60 days. And that was heading into the end of the year. It's January, and like I mentioned earlier, people are making moves now because it's the start of the year. So things are moving a little faster, but it's usually not an under contract in a couple days type of thing with where we're at now. So if you do have plans to move, things may look a little different or not move quite as quickly as they have in the past few years. The key here is if you need to sell quickly, price it to sell. If you want to max out your equity, you may just need to plan for things to go slower and have the patience to wait for the right person to come along, because that's totally possible. And still very likely in this market, it's just going to take a little longer for you to get there. So I'm going to make a pivot in conversation here and talk about the rental market. The rental market is insane. If you've been looking to rent anywhere, you know that the price to find anything halfway decent is absolutely out of this world. I mean, I truly don't understand how people do it. I really don't. We're paying 100% of interest to someone else when we're renting, and that's a huge disadvantage for people in my generation and the upcoming generations, is that we've been set up for failure. Okay, it's just the truth. The average income in the U.S. is roughly $50K. Let's say that the average rent amount, it's $1,900, but let's just round it to $2,000 for the sake of this. That's $24K a year on rent alone, which is about half of your yearly income. Yet you're supposed to make 2.5 times rent to live there, and that's bringing a bunch of question marks up into my mind, and then pay taxes and all the other monthly expenses and still be expected to have enough money to put in savings to buy a house. I mean, the math ain't mathin', because even with those numbers, you're probably still negative. Sacrifices are probably still being made, and some things probably still aren't getting paid. So the system isn't right. I mean, not only that, we are given the least amount of information possible on how to manage money, how to save, how to invest, how to actually get out of the financial cycle that's gotten 90% of us all trapped. Instead, schools focused on parallelograms, MX plus B, and other things we will probably never use again a day in our lives, and that's a whole nother topic for a different day and a different show. But I say us in all of this because it's me too. I am lucky to have made what I made my first couple years in real estate, considering 90% of agents don't make $20K their first year and 90% tap out within their first 12 months. But the truth is that with my school debt from college, paying all of my bills, my personal bills, I'm in charge of those, rent and everything, with no other real form of financial help. I have been in the same cycle, and it's my goal to myself to break that this year for my future and my family, and to do the things that I was never taught growing up. That's another reason I'm so excited for this show, because the education is going to be here for others to gain as well. And hopefully, if you're in the situation that I've been describing, you'll learn something from this show that changes the direction of your life. If we can't get this education anywhere else, we're going to create it here. And I look forward to being a part of it. But getting back to the market, I like to get sidetracked. And I'm by myself on this one, so no one's here to keep me in line. But let's look at the numbers based on our Georgia listing service for the different market areas and break that down. So Coweta County, in Newnan, since September, the listing prices on average have been higher than the sale price. So that means we're seeing price reductions. Leverage for buyers is becoming more common. Actually, almost every single home I've sold in Newnan over the last few months, including the seller pay closing cost, paying for home warranties, and getting the home for less than list price. So the sellers are willing to offer up closing costs, maybe even up front, or they do throughout the process. They're buying home warranties again. And I'm not going to say most of them we did get for less than listing price. Some of them we did have to go up to kind of counteract those closing costs, but we may continue to see that throughout the year as home values stabilize. Noonan is projected to continue to grow. I mean, it's a great area to live. I love it here. There's lots of new constructions coming up around here, still lots of land to grow, but it will cap at some point. People that live here now make jokes all the time like, oh, don't move here. We don't need anyone else in Noonan, but it's really not that bad. I actually really, really enjoy it, and there's not many times that I feel like, oh my gosh, this traffic is just insane. There's tons of shopping, restaurants, and small businesses here, so it's truly thriving. It's a great location from the airport, or if you work in Atlanta, easy access to the interstate. Sonoya, however, if you live there, you call it Sonoy. I think that's so funny because it clearly looks like Sonoya to me, but even my family lived there for a while, and every time I say it, they're like, it's Sonoy, and I'm like, it's Sonoya. But however you say it, it's consistently been selling higher than list price there. So Sonoya is, of course, known for being the Walking Dead tourist spot, but it's also really desirable because it still has its rural feel and it's not near as developed. They're just now getting some popular spots there like Publix, Dunkin'. I know Chick-fil-A is coming soon. But as far as homes go, the lot sizes are typically larger too there than we see in other areas of Coweta. 1 acre lots are really common here in Noonan, but you see a lot of like 3 to 5 acre lots in Sonoya. And I personally feel like the value of homes and land in Sonoya is going to continue to grow drastically for years to come. Now, Sharpsburg, another up-and-coming hotspot, is about to make a huge jump in their market based on predictions. Lots of new construction neighborhoods coming there as well. Lots of land and larger acre lots available and coming up for sale. But if you visit Peachtree City and the Avenue a lot, you're going to be really interested in what's coming to Sharpsburg. So we have been seeing for some time now, about a mile or two down from the Avenue on 34 heading towards Noonan. It's called Fisher Crossing. They've been putting up restaurants, movie theater, there's a Sam's Club and Costco, bunch of shopping, new small businesses, but the plan there is to continue to create a giant location for like everything consumer. Miller's Ale House has come in, Floor & Decor, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Publix, Maple Street Biscuit Company, Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. I mean, there's going to be some cool stuff, things I've never even heard of that sound absolutely amazing. So I would predict that the area is going to be a hot spot to live as it continues to grow, and we'll most likely see housing and land to continue to go up in value around there as well. Taking a look at Fayette County. So looking at Peachtree City first, mid-year last year, we saw the same trend in Peachtree City where the home started selling for less than the list price. There was some leverage there for buyers, but January just saw a huge spike in the sold price versus the list price. So things obviously got pretty competitive there, start of the year, and many homes were still selling over asking price pretty heavy. Of course, Peachtree City is a very unique community. It has its golf cart roads and accesses everywhere. You can go to the grocery store, drive-through, restaurants, pretty much anywhere, and you're going to see golf carts there. The Avenue has been a huge spot for shopping for Fayette, Spalding, Pike, Coweta for years. Of course, home values on average are higher there than many of the surrounding counties, so it does draw in a little bit higher of a clientele. I will say that it's not reaching the growth rate that it has in the past. Most of the growth is starting to run out towards the western counties, Sharpsburg, Sonoya, Noonan area. Now, Fayetteville is holding pretty steady in comparison. In Fayetteville, homes are kind of breaking even as far as selling the homes for the same amount as they were listed for. Of course, Trilith, the production studio, is there. The new shopping center and home community they have over there. Wow. Little background here for me. So I worked at Trilith when it was Pinewood Studios, when there was only about 6 production buildings there. Now I think there's like freaking 30. I'll go more into detail about that in the last segment of today's show. But my grandmother also lived in a subdivision that was directly across from Trilith, next to that elementary school that they also bought and turned into a part of the studio. But I visited her often when there was pretty much nothing there. I mean, I hadn't been there in years, and I went last year, and it absolutely blew my mind. Like, my mouth dropped to the floor. It is freaking incredible over there. So I'm really interested to see what continues to happen with Fayetteville, but at the moment, it looks like it's pretty stable there. Moving into Spalding County, where I was born and raised until high school, homes have been selling in Griffin less than list price since June of last year. And unfortunately, a tragic tornado just came through and did a lot of damage to the area. I mean, I'm seeing people list their homes with damage because it's just going to be too much to fix, or their insurance company won't cover things. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in Griffin, in the Griffin market this year, considering the way it started out. And on this topic as well, I want to bring in some insurance people that can talk about how the insurance companies do and don't work in these type of disasters. I saw tons of questions about that and concerns mentioned in the Spalding County discussion page. So like I mentioned earlier as well, I'm going to bring in some people here that can talk about the displacement loans that we talk about, just in case you're in a position where you feel stuck and need to get out and move somewhere else. There are 0% down options, but I'll continue to monitor this for you, and we'll talk more about Spalding County in the coming weeks. Moving over to Heard and Meriwether counties, that's where you want to go if you're trying to get away from the congestion and people. The population isn't quite as big, so homes do typically sell for a little less than list price there, and that's the trend that we're seeing currently. You can get a little more bang for your buck out there. I do anticipate that to change in the next 5 to 10 years, and I think that those areas will really grow up. But at the moment, it's a good place to go and get a house that's more affordable and a little further away from everything if that's what you're looking for. Troup County, Hogansville, LaGrange areas are holding pretty steady as well. Homes are either selling for about what they're listed at or a little over. They're desirable areas because of the bang for your buck there as well. Like the same home and acreage that's listed in Troup County for $250 is probably selling for $350K in Coweta or Fayette County. So I imagine that'll continue to hold steady there for a little while. And last but not least, Pike County. I'm throwing that in there because, like I said, I grew up in Griffin. Pike County was my neighboring county. I did so much sports, and I made so many friends and have a big connection to Pike. So in Pike, if you're trying to rent, you're probably not going to find much there. It is I feel like the hardest place in these surrounding areas to find something to rent. It's definitely a desirable place to live, and homes do go pretty quickly around that area in general. If you're looking to sell in Pike, you're probably going to get under contract within your first week at this time of year if you're not overpriced. Pike is also looking at new growth and new schools, apartment complexes, and some other things that may or may not be so desirable to the locals. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there in the next year or two as well. Average days on market for all these areas are between 25 to 40 days in December, but those averages for the days on the market are decreasing drastically over the start of the year because that's where the influx of people waiting until the start of the year to start looking for a home, which is pretty typical year by year. So expect things to move a little quicker right now, but things won't really pick up until what we call March Madness, when the market really picks up. So you may have a different experience based on these different counties, but this information is based off of the Georgia MLS data, so it is as accurate number-wise as it can get. Of course, there are always exceptions, but if you have any questions in the meantime about what's going on in your market, or you want to start the process of looking to buy or sell, give me a call anytime. One thing I really pride myself in is being super responsive, so give me a call or text 678-634-9770, or email me at Allison Waters, Allison Waters, WATERS @kw.com. Up next, we'll discuss what it takes to become a realtor, what the job entails, and what value a realtor actually brings to the buying or selling process. So stay tuned in. Right now, here's our property of the week on WQEE 99.1 FM The Key.
This week's property of the week is located at 688 Cheatham Road in Griffin, Georgia. This 32.14-acre tract is waiting to find its new owner. This property features a 3-bed, 2-bath home built in 1890. An 18 by 28 utility shed ran with its own power and water, fencing for horses and other livestock, and timber such as pine, oak, and pecan trees. Call 678-634-9770 for more information.
It's WQEE 99.1 FM. Welcome back to the At Home with Allison show. I am your host, Allison Waters, realtor, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what it is to be a realtor. I have so many people that come to me and ask me what the process is like getting into real estate. And I will say that it is a lot more than you'd think. I am training all the new agents that come into the Keller Williams office right now, along with another agent. I am the launch coach. So I help people through their first transactions and kind of help them figure out where they're at and how we can help them be a producing agent, because that is one of the biggest misconceptions, is that we kind of wake up one day and we're like, okay, I'm going to become a realtor. And then we don't really know, one, how extensive the process is to get your license, but then also, two, how hard you have to work to actually make it in this business. So I'll talk a little bit about what the pre-licensing stuff looks like, what the job actually entails, and some things that you may or may not have known about being a realtor. So talking about what the process looks like to become one. So it took me about 2 months to do my pre-licensing course. You can do it in person or you can do it online. I did mine online at realestateexpress.com. I will say that I really liked the program that I went through, but I almost wish I would have done it in person. It kind of depends on whether you need to work on it like at night. If you're a mom or a dad and you want to spend time with your family in the evenings, you may want to try and find something during the day. But on the contrary, if at night is the only time that you have to do something, online might be your only option, which still gets you there. It gets you to the point. It is totally up to you on when you take your exam once you complete your pre-licensing. Like I said, it took me about 2 months to really, really learn. I did take my test my first time, and if you knew me growing up, I'm not gonna say I'm like super smart or anything, but I always did really well in school. I made straight A's. I was in the gifted classes. I did all the stuff, but when I took my exam the first time, I failed. I did. And it shocked me because I thought I was going to run in there and I was just going to crush it. And I mean, it was just going to be easy, but it was so hard. And I will say that it's probably the hardest test I've ever taken in my life. And it was my first state exam, so I wasn't really prepared with how things worked. But the big reason that I failed, and this is why I say taking it in person or doing something different, I'll give you some tips, matters, because I wasn't really knowledgeable about multiple topics on the test. So even though I did Real Estate Express and I do feel like it was really great and it prepared me in a lot of ways, there was a lot of things that I saw on the test that I had not seen before. And they say that you can't really study it all, but when I went back, I listened to someone called the Prep Agent, and he was able to, he has podcasts, he has YouTube videos, he has cram courses, which are tests you take like within 24 or 48 hours of taking your actual state exam. I started listening to his podcast every day. I think I took my test, my second state exam, like a week later. So during that week, I was listening to his podcast, I was watching his YouTube videos, taking his practice exams, and I did one of the cram courses. It just worked out that what I didn't know, or that I wasn't very confident in to take the test originally from Real Estate Express, told me, he was able to show me, and I say show like he showed me personally. I felt like I knew him personally after a while, but he was able to help me understand a lot of concepts that I didn't understand before and really get me tuned in on other things. So I was really appreciative of that, and I definitely recommend, if you're looking to get into real estate, to take the Prep Agent course and the cram courses there and listen to him, because that was a game changer for me. When I went back and took my state exam the second attempt, I felt confident. I felt like I knew every question and passed with flying colors. So totally different thing there. But this is where it kind of goes wrong with a lot of people. And me saying earlier in the show that 90% of realtors don't make it past their first year, that's not a made up statistic. It's actually very real. If you don't have people lined up already, a lot of the time when you jump into your first year of real estate, it's going to take you a while to get going, to get business, for a lot of reasons. One, because people are watching you and they want to know that you're actually doing business and that you're trustworthy and that you're reliable to actually carry them through one of the biggest transactions in their life. Two, it is something that you have to generate business. For me, I was not local to Noonan when I moved here. Thankfully, I was very lucky to meet my partner, Ashley McKenzie. I'll go into more about how I became a realtor and made that connection later. But I was able to get, past leads to me from someone that was local to the area that was very successful in business, and ended up getting a lot of family, past friends from high school and college and other things that I ended up helping out. And it just was, I want to say that I feel very lucky. I also worked really, really hard. But the biggest thing is that you take all these pre-licensing courses and you get your license, but then you start completely from scratch. You don't use really anything that you learned during the pre-licensing phase, and you don't learn how to write a contract, or what a home inspection looks like, or how to go through the actual process of a transaction. So you're going to have to go through a lot of training, in order to fully prepare yourself. I mean, people that have been in the business for 15 years still have to learn stuff. Realtors are a little different than real estate agents. Realtors have to take all the extra continuing education and stuff like that. So we also get that through our brokerage. But there's just a ton of just education in general to even be truly, I say, qualified to even buy or sell. So there's a lot there that is kind of left out that people don't realize. There's just so much on the front end. Now, if you don't have, a bunch of people lined up, like I said, or family or friends that have reached out to you and that want you to help them buy or sell early on, you can join a team. Teams do splits. It depends on the team, what that split looks like. A lot of the time it's 50-50. Sometimes it can be where 70% goes to the team and you keep 30, or there are other arrangements with in special circumstances where you get to keep more of it if it's your deal. That's another option for you to look into as well. Individual agents, though, they're on their grind. I mean, even people that are on a team, it's a constant grind because things can constantly go wrong, and it's not always your fault. Most of the time, it's not your fault as the agent, and you really are dealing with high emotions, high intensity situations. There are times where you are up at midnight talking to another agent or another lender trying to figure out how you're going to make this thing work, what went wrong, and sometimes it's the appraisal, sometimes it's the pipes randomly busting in the house you're about to buy, sometimes it's a tree fell on the house, sometimes it's you're no longer qualified for the loan. There are countless things, and when you're dealing with people and high stress situations, and this is people's lives, and people are going to call you freaking out at any time of the day. This is not a 9-to-5 job. You are constantly sending emails, constantly texting, constantly receiving calls, and working with other people on a massive scale. I would say that being a realtor is not necessarily for the mentally unstable. I say that, but I had a lot of anxiety when I started real estate, and I did have to take medication for the first time in my life for a little while, and I got balanced out. I mean, I don't take anything anymore. I feel like I'm so zen, and like the world can be crashing now, and people call me like, oh my God, this just went wrong, and I'm just like, everything's going to be okay, because ultimately it is. And the more you're in this business, the more you realize that there's just so many things that can happen out of your control. But knowing that this is also a feast and famine, you may have 3 or 4 closings in 1 month, and then you might not have any for the next few months if you haven't built years of consistent business up where you're always busy. So there's a lot to unpack there, but a lot of people have told me as well that they just didn't realize how much went in to being a realtor, and there's a lot of personal connections there that you make with your clients, and you really get to know a lot about them and about their life, because you're helping them through a really big transaction. And you want to be someone that they can rely on and that they can call, because you will be receiving a call. You will be exchanging a lot of text calls and emails with your realtor. I promise you will get to know each other really well. So that's why it's important to choose a good realtor that has been referred by someone else, or that you know is an expert, because as you're going to learn as we go more and more into depth of this show, there's going to be a lot of you that are saying, oh my gosh, no one ever told me that. My realtor didn't tell me that, or I had a bad experience and I wish that I could have avoided it by knowing this. So we're really going to try to go as in depth with that as possible for you guys, and really tell you more about this business and how important it is to have someone on your side that is truly knowledgeable and really knows how to deal with stress and high anxiety situations, because they're going to come. And if you have a realtor that's freaking out all the time and that doesn't know how to deal with your emotions and your anxieties and doesn't know how to make you feel better and really guide you through the process in an impactful way, it's going to be a hard transaction to get through. And our goal here is to provide you with those resources outside of realtors, lenders and home inspectors and other people that are involved in the process that are also going to help protect you for the long haul. And that's once you get the keys and once you move in and you become a homeowner, there's so many things left out there. And as a realtor myself, I want to add to my knowledge as much as possible, so that my job as a realtor is as thorough as possible for you and your family, because this stuff is a big deal. So just think really, if you are looking to get into real estate, I will say that we are going into a tough market right now. There's going to be a lot of people falling out. When the market shifts, a lot of realtors fall off. So we're going to see people falling off these next couple years. If you're doing this part-time, I completely understand, because like I said, on average, 20K is the average or max amount that a lot of realtors make their first year. So if you have to have another part-time job, I understand. But where we're at right now in the market, it would be best to maybe join a team, or maybe get with someone that can provide you some leads and figure out how you're going to work that with your current schedule. But if you are interested and you want to talk more about it, I would absolutely love to help you get started. I would love to tell you about Keller Williams and everything that we have to offer. Please give me a call, 678-634-9770, and I would love to talk with you about it. If you are, of course, looking to buy and sell, you know who to call. Hopefully, I would be a great match for you. And we can always figure that out. If you don't know and you just want to have a conversation and see if I would be a great fit for you to represent you, then I would love to do that as well. So any way that you want to contact me, please do. I would love to talk with any of you about being a realtor. Like I said, I absolutely love it. It is a great job, but it does have its trials. But most importantly, it has great reward. I absolutely love being able to help people. I love being able to make connections with my clients and build relationships that last. So with that being said, we are going to take our next break. When we return, I will tell you more about me, Allison Waters, who I am, what my background is, how I ended up here, kind of what my role is right now at Keller Williams, and with some other things. So enjoy the break, and we will be back. It is At Home with Allison on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Want to give back to your community in a meaningful way? Cares for Kids is a Keller Williams Realty founded charity in which 100% of money raised goes directly to children in need in our area. Cares for Kids helps fund local organizations like Angel's House, Coweta Casa, Elevate, and more. Help Cares for Kids reach their mission of serving 1 million children. Call 678-634-9770 today to learn more on how to be involved, or text K4K Noonan to 44321 to donate.
WQEE 99.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the At Home with Allison show. I am your host, Allison Waters, realtor, and I'm ready to tell you a little bit about me, right? So you're probably wondering, Allison, how did you end up having your own real estate show? Like, what's going on? And honestly, I am still trying to figure it out. But I do want to tell you a little bit about my background and what I'm doing as a realtor and kind of how I'm at this point. So I grew up in Griffin, Georgia. I lived there until I was in about 10th grade. I moved to McDonough, went to Union Grove High School, and was there until about the last 6 months of my senior year, and then I graduated from Spalding High School back in Griffin. So that was there was some moving and some things in life going on right then, and I luckily was accepted to UGA and went straight out of high school to Athens. I went to UGA on and off for about 4 years, and then I transferred to University of North Georgia. So originally, when I was at UGA, I was doing some film stuff on the side. So I would be extras and productions assistants. I worked with NBC and USA. I worked with Marvel. I worked on Ant-Man. I also did the Divergent series. I love that series. If you've ever seen those movies, I really, really enjoyed being a part of that. And so I started looking at other options in film. I was also a musician at the time. I did a lot of shows and stuff in Athens, and unfortunately I had a vocal procedure that ended up kind of halting that a little bit. So I started thinking really more about the film and digital media thing. So at the time, UGA had a journalism and broadcasting gig. That was their degree that they had at the time, but I really wanted to go somewhere that specialized in film. So University of North Georgia had a film and digital media degree. So I ended up getting a media studies degree, and then I went into film and digital media and started the film school thing. And when I tell you that was so cool, I mean, I did all types of stuff. I operated the camera, screenwriting, acting, producing, pretty much anything behind the scenes or anything regarding film we went through. But it got to the point where it was time to get a internship, and I was working at Guitar Center at the time. And let me just say, if you've never been to a Guitar Center, it is one of the coolest places to go. I mean, if you like instruments and you like music, I mean, there's all types of instruments in there, all types of production equipment, live sound equipment, software. It is so cool. I highly recommend you go in there. So I was there for 2 years. And during that last year of college, I got an internship with Cox Media. And I was working there at Cox Media Group in Watkinsville, which is right outside of Athens. I was a remote tech there for about a month. And then I told myself, I said, I want to be on air. That's my goal of being here. And so I did approach them, and it ended up working out where I did. I was put on air, and I was on Power 100.1, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was there for about 6 or 7 months. I was still working at Guitar Center, and then I was in my last semester of college. I had 6 weeks left getting this second degree, and COVID hit. And the last 6 weeks of school didn't happen. Both my job at Guitar Center and my job at Cox Media on the radio both shut down. And I graduated right when everyone was quarantined and nothing was going on, and my media industry died. Even with the resume that I had at the time, I applied to probably 40 or 50 jobs and nothing came up. Nothing. And it was really surprising because that's what I anticipated. And that's kind of what I expected my life to become when I got out of college. But things just happened. And I was still living in Athens. And I was at this point where I'm like, what am I going to do? How is this going to work? Where am I going to go from here? And I woke up one day and I said, I'm going to become a realtor. And it was the most thoughtless thing that I've ever done. I am not an impulsive person. I'm actually very strategic with what I want to do in my life. And it was one of those things where I woke up and I never thought about it again. It was just like I said, I'm going to be a realtor, and I did it. And here I am. I met my partner, Ashley McKenzie. I moved to Noonan, And I was given a list by my brokerage team leader at the time, and she's like, here's some people you can talk to about real estate. I didn't know anything. I mean, nothing. And I ended up calling, the only person I called was the last person on the list, which was my now very good friend and partner, Ashley McKenzie. And she was such a blessing to me. She really helped train me and get me going into the business and gave me business. And now we were formerly Ashley McKenzie Homes, and now we are A&A Homes, and we do business together. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. So definitely find you someone like that. I was very lucky, and I just have so much appreciation for that. But really from there, I just had a really successful first year, and I ended up becoming a mentor for our office. I was mentoring some new agents coming in, and then we came up with the productivity program where we have an actual program set in place where we're training the new agents coming in. Me and my partner Heather Jenkins, and Kate La Rosa does our marketing. She is really awesome. So we have a good little thing going on there, and I've been in the top 20% of our office the last couple years. I've been eligible for the $1 Million Club both years, and it's truly, truly incredible. I'm just so blessed, and I thank you. If you're a client of mine, that has gotten me to this point, I am so appreciative, and you guys constantly refer me on the discussion pages, which I can't thank you enough for. So big thanks to that for sure. But I want to talk about Cares for Kids a little bit. So I'm also, every Keller Williams Market Center has a Cares for Kids ambassador, 2 of them. Our office is myself and one of my good friends, Gloria Shrepfer. She is absolutely amazing. And we do this thing together where we raise money and we do events throughout the year. And the money that we raise goes directly to the children in our community. I mean, every penny, 100% goes directly to the children. And I absolutely love being a part of that. This will be my 3rd year being the Cares for Kids ambassador. And it's truly just really rewarding, and it's a direct impact to the community, and I love being a part of it. So when it comes down to it, I really love my job. I love what I'm doing. I would love to be able to assist you in any way that I can as your realtor, regardless of whether you're buying or selling. If you want to rent and you need help, if you're a landlord, you need to list some rentals and need some advice, please reach out to me. As long as you're not in an agreement with another realtor, I can help you out, and I would absolutely love to do that. If you have questions about your house as a homeowner or anything, please reach out to me. My number is 678-634-9770. Email me at allisonwaters@kw.com. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I promise that every single episode from here on out is going to get more and more insightful. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to make you laugh, hopefully, even though I have a really dry sense of humor. But I'm really looking forward to where this is going to go. And if you've made it this far, I sincerely thank you. I would love to speak with you sometime. Please follow me on social media. But that is it. It's a wrap. This is the first episode of At Home with Allison. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Allison Waters here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota L-Series tractor is the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. for over 10 years. Powerful Kubota diesel engine, ease of operation, and your choice of a Kubota gear or HST transmission. The durable Kubota L-Series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Mason Tractor Co. 4 convenient Kubota locations. On the web at masontractor.com.